one of them would go around the back of the blanket and conk them on the head with a hammer.
They were serial killers.
There are as many as 11 or 12 people buried in their backyard.
People have described them as ruthless, cold, calculated. John Sr., Ma, John Jr., and Kate Bender. The foursome traveled to southeast Kansas in 1871. They stayed only a few years, but left behind a mystery.
And started hearing the story of a family who had seemingly gotten away with committing multiple homicides. And I thought, how could this happen in Kansas?
Michelle Martin is a historian of the 19th century American West. She has studied the Benders and says they still haunt southeast Kansas. The Benders kept an open-door policy for passers-by traveling along the Osage Trail, but many of their guests never left.
Travelers who had just innocently stopped at their establishment and were robbed and murdered and put in the ground.
The Benders allegedly killed up to 13 people on their property using clever tricks. They would first make their guests feel at ease by offering them a hot meal.
They had their table with a special chair reserved for guests.
The special chair was in front of a curtain from where John Sr. would whack them from behind with a hammer. The daughter, Kate, would then put a knife to their throats.
Most likely she is the architect. And the reason historians and even psychiatrists and psychologists who've looked at the material related to them believe that she was the most intelligent and had the ability to go ahead and do this planning at a highly complex level.
Historians say money was the motivation behind the Bender murders, as the family robbed their victims before dumping them into the ground.
Supposedly they did acquire whatever valuables these people had with them, or just things like their saddles and horse equipment and whatever was in their, whatever they were carrying with them. And it might have been a thrill to them as well because they kept on doing it.
They were smart about who they chose.
Did they have enough money? Was this someone who would be missed if they didn't arrive at their final destination?
One guest was missed, Dr. William York from Montgomery County. When he never returned home, his family went looking.
When Colonel York and other individuals from Cherryvale arrive back to go ahead and apprehend the Bender family, they walk in and the cabin is abandoned. Literally, food is in pots on the stove, dishes on the table, bread on the table, and their clothes are packed and they're gone. And they simply vanish.
Authorities put up wanted posters and visited the Bender home, ultimately digging up to 13 bodies from the property. Some reports place the family in Thayer, Kansas, others in Minnesota and California. They were never found.
I don't think we ever are going to be able to truly know who these people are. They're really an enigma, but they vanish into the Kansas prairie.
These people came out of nowhere and then vanished into nowhere. They were like some storm on the prairie.
Gone for more than 100 years, the Benders still intrigue, says Shirley Ann Hogbin, owner of the Leather Rock Hotel.
We get calls very frequently about the Benders. People are really interested in the Benders.
Historians still fumble over where they went and just how many they killed.